Now, as the country gets set for the inauguration of the president-elect, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, the situation in the camp of the opposition is sullen and depressing. The People's Democratic Party, PDP, and the Labour Party have expressed anger over the telephone conversation between the American Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, and Tinubu. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar is disappointed by the development, describing it as demoralizing. Meanwhile, the leader of the Muslims in the country and Sultan of Sokoto, Alhaji Muhammadu Sa'ad Abubakar III, has let it be known that nobody can stop Senator Tinubu's inauguration. I agree to Jide.
Yes, it's time to begin to agree because it's inevitable.
Yeah, regardless of the case in court?
That's the way it has always been. The Constitution does not say because a case is in court, somebody should not be sworn in.
Okay.
You were here when we discussed that being in the Senate for 1 whole year, despite the fact that he had benefited from a rigged election. He still enjoyed the Senate for 1 whole year before McCarthy took his place. You know, so it's not something that began today. And some of the people shouting today that, oh, it should not be inaugurated is born out of hatred, not anything else. Because since 1999, that has always been the case. And we can't remember some of those people making all this noise, making similar noise some years back. At that time, they didn't feel it was anything wrong. But because the person who won the election is not somebody that they wanted to see win the election. It's somebody that they predicted would never get close to winning the election. They thought in the North, for example, everybody would just vote for Atiku because he's from the North. But the people of the North do not reason like that. You know? So at the end of the day, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is the winner of the February 25 election.
So declared by the INEC?
Is the winner. Is the winner. Before INEC declared it, people had their situation rooms. They had the results. It was Fashola that coordinated the situation room of the APC. There is no politician who did not have that result, who did not know who had won.
Okay.
Because that's what they do in their situation rooms. Before before APC's loss of Kaduna was announced, there was a super agent of the party inside the hall who called me to say, look, we have lost Kaduna. To my shock, because I thought they would be able to win Kaduna.
Expectedly.
Yes. So INEC just announced the inevitable. Bola Ahmed Tinubu won that election. Remember John Kessin, the US diplomat, he came out to say, look, Bola Tinubu won this election without a shadow of a doubt. Because he had the ground game, he had the countrywide network, and he had the resources.
The population.
Some people, they were abusing him. You know, we have a talent to sit on Twitter and abuse people. We are looking like, when it comes to trolling people, Nigeria is looking like the world's #1. Ordinary matter of cooking, they are abusing the Indian woman.
Yeah.
Because a Nigerian had the guts to try, you know. So, but that is not even.
Wale no put mouth to.
Now, that is not even the issue. This matter, the Americans, you must respect them for their methods. America was not in a hurry to criticize, to congratulate Tinubu.
Yeah.
How many people were happy about that? And they were accusing the APC of shopping for recognition over an election that Asiwaju won hands down. In the end, what did we see? The number 4 man by hierarchy in the US. If anything happens to the president of the US, by succession, the Secretary of State is the number 4 man. He can get to that seat, depending on what happens. He has now spoken for the American state, for the country called America. And the good thing is, it wasn't Bola Ahmed Tinubu that made that call.
Okay.
It was Blinken himself.
Apparently, they had been on speaking terms before now.
No, they were not on speaking terms.
Oh, really?
Yes. Bola Ahmed Tinubu did not call. The American Secretary of State called
him.
Because for America, it is their interests that matter. And the interest of America is a prosperous Nigeria, a Nigeria that the U.S. will want to do business with consistently. And you can see the promises that he's making. And Bola Tinubu was happy. Bola Tinubu said, thank you, America, because you gave me asylum during the military era when my life was in danger. And he also recalled that it was in school in America where he passed with flying colors. These are not things that some people like to hear, but that is the reality. So this is significant because they did not even talk about the election. It's not America's business. People fail to realize that, look, the election in your country is the internal affairs of your country.
Yeah.
And the Americans
sovereign
know.
State.
Yes, and the Americans know that there's no perfect election somewhere. If it was perfect, why did what happened in Florida happen? When they had to do a manual recount, and they never counted to the end before the president was declared.
Okay. Wale, so did you see anything like this coming?
Well, I think when you have a kind of election like this, you know, the opposition will start with denial, then rejection, it will follow by doubt, and then acceptance. I think we're in the era of acceptance now because it's just a few days before the inauguration. When we're in the age of denial, some people even said the president-elect did not even attend any school in the U.S. and the U.S. will not even accept him as the president-elect, that in fact is wanted in the U.S. So all sorts of stories. But I know that as a member of the June 12 movement.
So in politics, especially in Africa, you expect things
you know, all
like
sorts
that.
of things and all that. But history will clarify, you know, history will unfold the truth, you know, with the passage of time. And that's what we are seeing. Because I remember that in the days of June 12 struggle, the president was very close. He worked closely with the State Department, you know. And even as governor of Lagos State for 8 years, he worked closely with the State Department. So it's not strange, you know, to most of those officials that are there.
Okay, yeah.
Probably he might met many of them in the course of, you know, his diplomatic career. And they know him. They have worked with him at different levels, even in sub-regional levels, you know. So it's not a stranger to them. And I believe that, you know, the State Department made a statement a few days after the election, which was issued by Ned Price, the State Department spokesperson, who said they were happy about the result of the election and they were ready to work, looking forward to working with Nigeria. The president of China, you know, Xi Jinping, already congratulated the president-elect. The UK Prime Minister actually said he looks forward to seeing the president-elect in April next year when they'll be having African Economic Summit. And many other presidents, you know, all over Africa and all that. So, you know, in terms of law, you know, when there's an election and the winner has been declared, it's no longer subjected to the wishes of individuals. The law says that when the president is declared by INEC, that president has to be sworn in. Don't forget that in the U.S., when they had the last election, there were riots. People invaded the state, you know, the National Assembly and all that. And but at the end of the day, would Nigeria have issued a statement saying that they will wait until it was resolved before they will congratulate Biden, Joe Biden? Or look at, you know, Brazil. After the election, there was protests and all that. America did not wait and say, okay, until you resolve it. In fact, the man who caused that riot is in trouble now in Brazil. So there are all sorts of desperation. It's even more, you know, suicidal in Africa. People see election as a do or die affair. It's either a win or the election is not credible.
That's it.
But we should not forget that, you know, governance is a long-distance race. The president will be there for 8 years. Even the person that is leaving now contested for how many times? 3-4 times before he won. So if you did not win today, you know, the future is there for you. And for P2B, you know, this is his first time. And I think he should also realize that the future is there for him. He has age on his side. He can still rule this country in the future. So we should not destroy everything at this moment because the future will beckon at one point or the other. So the message coming from the U.S., It's part of his own tradition of bilateral relations, diplomatic relations. Nobody can change it overnight, not even bidding. So the message sent to the phone call with President-elect is normal.
Okay. Judy, the second leg of the story is that the head of Muslims in the country, and by definition, the Sultan of Sokoto, Alhaji Sa'ad Abubakar III, says the inauguration of the president-elect on May 29 is a fait accompli. So, who is against it?
Yeah, people is against it. So many people. You are aware that some people have gone to court to waste their time. And why am I saying to waste their time? Because they don't know the law. If you are not a contestant in an election, you cannot challenge the winner of the election.
The outcome.
Otherwise, all of us, we can get up here. Everyone with a rush of blood to the head can get up to say, oh, yeah, I'm going to the court. We can keep the courts busy to say we don't want Bola Ahmed Tinubu to be sworn in. But the law is clear. If you are not a contestant, you cannot challenge the outcome of the election. You know, individuals can't just get up and say, okay, this person emerged, he didn't score 25% in Abuja, therefore he should not be president. Because I've never seen anything as ridiculous as that. To imagine that votes in our country, that some votes are more superior to other votes in our country. Abuja, what's in Abuja that will make Abuja more significant than any Nigerian state? What is it? Very small.
But the current president didn't win Abuja, 25% in Abuja, but he was declared.
We are saying the same thing, that well, people are going to court because of that. Are you not aware that some people are going to court on that basis? Some are saying, oh, it's a drug baron. He should not be president. Oh, is this, is that, is this, is that. Time will resolve all of these issues, but those deliberately heating up the polity just because they hate the individual who has emerged. You are an individual. The country is made up of millions of individuals. Your opinion cannot be superior to the opinion of millions of other people. In democracy, the majority will have their way. The majority, and who scores the highest is the winner. It doesn't matter whether the totality of votes of the opposition is higher than that of the person who eventually won. That's not how democracy runs.
Yeah.
You can have 100 people contesting for an election. When they tally the votes of 100 people, definitely it will be higher than that of the person who eventually won. It doesn't take away the fact that that person has won the election. So the Sultan is sending this message because as we move closer and closer to the inauguration day, you can see even the military is warning people. The IG spoke the other day. He said he's aware that some politicians are doing their best to make sure that that day does not happen. So the Sultan has simply sent a message because our constitution does not allow for President Buhari to stay in office even by one day.
That's it.
Governors, too, are not permitted to stay one day longer in office. They have to leave. So those suggesting, because we've had, among some other senseless suggestions, we've had people say President Buhari should remain in office, that Tinubu should not be inaugurated, Buhari should remain in office. That is the same Buhari that they've always hated, though, that they told us had died a long time ago, was cloned, that is a certain Jibrin. In their hearts, Nigeria set a record by producing the first human being that was cloned. Yet we are not the center of excellence for global medicine. You can see oddities happening in our time, in this period, just because of an election.
Natural?
It's not natural. It's abnormal. It's an aberration. Abhorrent behavior. This is what we are seeing. And so the Sultan, as a leader, has come out to say, look, perish the thought that this inauguration will not take place. You should be praying for the incoming administration.
Yeah, to succeed.
Yes. I was at an event in Abuja the other day organized by Ronsewe, and I said, look, we should be praying. Because if this man doesn't get it right, we are in trouble. We are already at the edge of a cliff. Whoever does not know that does not know anything. We are at the edge of a cliff already as a country. A government that is coming in, we must do our best to make sure that that government succeeds. I'm happy that the Americans are leading the way.
It has no choice.
Americans are leading the way. They're already saying, look, make sure your government is inclusive. Because you can see how sensible the Americans are. If Tinubu runs an inclusive government, tension will come down in our country. Before now, we had also been pleading that let him run an inclusive government, a government that carries everybody along, including his enemies, including people who did not wish that he would get there. Once you become president, you are the president of all. You are the father of all.
Yeah.
So the Americans are advising him. They say, run an inclusive government. It's a very good advice. Even if the president-elect was not thinking along that line, the fact that Blinken has suggested it, it should send a clear signal that they mean well. They want a Nigeria that works.
They are interested
in a Nigeria that works for everyone. That is the thing.
Yeah. Well, so I hear anything is possible in politics. One of them is this.
Yeah.
The inauguration will not take place.
Yeah, it's also a way to cover up, a lot of, because a lot of lies have been blown up. The U.S. can never talk to him. He has never took picture. He has never been to the U.S. for a very long time. They don't even want him. But those lies have been blown up. The Americans have called to say, look, we are congratulating you. You are the president of Nigeria. We look forward to working with you. So many lies that people have, pushed in the past, those lies are being demolished with the passage of time. And they don't like it, So that's why when you are...
That's why they are in agony.
Yeah, so when you are in politics, try as much as possible to be honest. Because even when you deceive people you can't deceive them for too long. Yeah. At the end of the day, your lives will be blown up.
As we said yesterday, the African proverb is, you don't have to be tall to see the moon.
Yeah.
You are seeing these things. They are there. So why try to cover the moon from a short man who has seen it?
Yeah.
Well, how many days to go? 29 minus 18.
We have just 2 Mondays to go.
Yeah.
After the next Monday, the next one.
Yeah.
And,
so we are almost there.
We are moving inexorably close to the D-Day, and that D-Day will happen. My concern, my desire is to see a Nigeria where things work.
Yeah.
Where even our children, a lot of our children today, they've lost hope. They are very angry. And Peter Obi came to harvest the anger, But Nigeria can work again. When we talk about Nigeria, where we used to be, some people don't believe. You say, what? You mean Nigeria used to be this? You mean Saudi leaders used to come to receive Medicare in Nigeria at UCH?
No, you remind them of Professor Chinua Achebe's book. There was a country. Jide, there was a country in this country.
Yes.
And I saw it.
There was a country. And look, tell your son how much you paid for a meal in the university.
50 kobo.
Do they even know what is 50
with
kobo?
a ticket.
Have they seen anything like 50 kobo? Because these children came in an era when the Naira had already been bastardized. So they didn't lay their hands on coins. And they didn't lay their hands on 50 kobo when it was in paper form.
You need to think that...
Abi?
In college...
There was a time when 50... when it was in paper form.
It was a note. It was a note.
Yes.
A small note. And Wale, I remember my father used to send postal orders to me.
Sure.
I will take the orders to the post office, exchange the thing for Naira.
Yes.
For money,
Yes.
It cannot happen again.
Lunch of voucher. You want to eat, you...
There was meal
lunch of
voucher,
voucher,
There was fuel voucher. There was fuel voucher too.
At Unila, you had a full chicken for 4 students in the university in those days. full chicken for 4 students.
Chicken where they tumble.
Yeah. London, from Lagos to London, about 300 naira. So we had good times.
And there were people then, I was told in Kano, who would get up in the morning and say, look, I want to
Spend the
eat
weekend.
my lunch in London. And they will get into the aircraft. They've gone to London.
How much was
the
the fare?
airport in Kano was very active. Even when I was a correspondent in Kano, you see the big airlines, Swiss Air, KLM, all of them were always coming to Kano.
And the Naira, Jide and Wale, the Naira was exchangeable at the other end.
Yes, and it was stronger.
It was stronger.
It was stronger than the dollar.
No, in those days there was this talisman, Indian talisman. You send naira to the postal, post office to India, cash naira, 6 naira. You send it to India, they would cash it in, you want to spend it in India. Indians were coming here to work as teachers in secondary schools.
My maths teacher was an Indian.
So,
my English teacher
things
at
have gone
Baptist
terribly
Academy
bad.
was an Indian, Mr. Abraham. I can't forget it. I cannot. So, put simply, there was a country in this country.
Yes.
And that country can be redeemed.
It's possible.
It's possible.
If we have like 3 cycles of elections that deliver the right leadership, honestly, people will forget that Nigeria used to be this bad. 3 cycles of elections. Let the right caliber of leaders succeed one another. Honestly, it will all go. It takes a leader to set us on the right path. Once that is done, and we are on that trajectory of consistent success, growth, and development, there's no way that the leaders coming behind, even our taste in terms of what we demand from anybody contesting an election will have changed inevitably. The things that we ignore these days, we will not ignore. We will interrogate leaders because we want to ensure that the quality of the leader coming will match, if not surpass, the
outgoing one.
Yes. So that's how you begin to grow as a country. So these are our wish that, look, things are bad, but this man is our wish that he will come, he will change things.
Right many wrongs and set us.
He will not allow himself to be distracted by politicians, because there are some politicians out there. Yes, they will say, I spent money for Asiwaju's election. I contributed to Asiwaju's election. But that does not mean that they deserve to be ministers. That does not mean that they deserve to take key positions in the administration. It is the best that should serve in that administration. In fact, when people see the quality of the cabinet, they can make up their minds as to whether we are heading in the right direction.
So all told, every road will lead to Eagle Square on May 29, 2023.
Inevitably.
So no doubt about that.
Inevitably.
Absolutely. All right.